we're talking fatherhood, man. Um,
Oh man, I didn't know if you was gonna do this with me because I know that you already did it with old boy.
no, well, I think it'd be dope because so I did talk to Belief months ago now, and but Belief is an OG, right? He's got teenagers. He's got
Yeah.
three, maybe four babies, I think. Um, and then I have two, and my oldest just hit sixth grade, and my second oldest is about to be 9. But you're fresh to the game. You're pushing a 6 month old, maybe.
4.5 month,
Oh,
Lord, and every bit of 4.5.
every and so I just thought that'd be like a dope convo to like because we specifically, and I think we talked about this, and I talked about this with Belief, the new baby life for Black fathers never it's never a conversation. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm a father, I got kids, I got young children, or I got like adult kids, but that new baby life, which is so critical and like it's so prone to mistakes that we both made out at this point. um
This could be a therapy session for me then. That's what this gonna be. And I mean, you've been, shouts out for the folks that don't know. Unc pretty much predicted and prognosed everything from before the baby was born, literally to the first months. And like everything is still going on track. So like I mean, you probably know 4 months in right now what I'm going through. And when I say that I want to pick up drinking, binge drinking actually, I might actually like finally take the knee and get into some other like different like white boy drugs or something like that. Because there
there's
was
no way to do this
nothing.
sober.
What's that? That's the Elgato one?
I don't know, man. It looked like what Hassan and them got. So I was like, this must be good.
Hassan got an SM7B. Hey, with that Drake money that you just got.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I gotta order a new microphone. I gotta look like I gotta come back with something different.
Hey, that listen, you ain't got no notes for me with that one. I mean, everything is well deserved.
Yeah,
That one right there, like
yeah, I was it's so funny. Simple sidebar, this to stay in. Speaking of fatherhood, so Spatial, who was the original
that's
main
right.
like editor for the video, and I have to make sure I give him a lot more credit than I maybe have because of how Babilla finished it. So much of the core structure of the video was his vision, right? Like his
Mm,
original vision, like he structured the video in a certain way. He just didn't get to finish it. Needless did the major graphical
motion, yeah.
sections. And then me and Babilla like completed the vision that Spatial put like had kind of set into motion, and then I, of course, provided like the overall core features. But like I gotta make sure he gets credit like that intro, which is so key. That was all Spatial. You know what I mean? And then so we got to the second week, we got to like the last week of June, and I'm hoping to have the video done in that like we're on like Friday. I'm hoping the video will be done the following Monday.
And baby
And
coming in
he
here and tell you.
disappears. So like he disappears on like Wednesday. And I'm like, nigga, where you at? Trying to the biggest video of my life. I need to see it. I finally hear from him Thursday. He's like, yeah, my girl is in labor. And I'm like, what?
You
You're
missed
about
some
to have a
steps.
baby? I'm not mad at him because Spatially he's 25. This is
Oh,
his, a big part of his income. So like, he was trying to get this last check-in before that baby comes. That's real.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's real. I know how that feels. When my second son was born, I was technically unemployed
Right.
because I had gotten to it's a long story short, I couldn't go back to my teaching job that I was at, and I had to find another one. And I was trying like last minute teaching job shit. I was literally walking out of the hospital room where my wife was holding my youngest Rohan to take phone calls at principals to see if I was going to come teach at their school. So I know
Wow.
that sense of like, I'm not going to bring a baby into this world and not have nothing to
Security.
secure it. And and that's just his girlfriend. That's not his wife. Not that that has to make a difference, but it tends to. Then I was like, look, I'm gonna pay you your whole, what I promise you, regardless, because you got a kid on the way, and I don't want to I would want somebody to do that for me. But I need you to pass this on to Babilla because I also don't feel like I'm gonna get what I need.
You in the space, yeah. You just had a whole baby.
You had a whole baby. Like you need to go do skin to skin, which is something that's like. I gave the whole skin to skin message. And so then Babilla took it over, but as Babilla was taking it over, a lot of the files got corrupted, and that was a blessing in disguise because it forced me to. I had more time to look and evaluate, okay, what holes are here in this full narrative. So that every scene where I was in my dining room with the brick wall to one side and it was 50-50, I just came up with that on the fly. Like, oh, this would be dope if he can figure something out with that. And I rewrote those whole sections and added them in as I was waiting for all the files to be transferred.
Wow.
So when Babilla got it, I thought it would just be another week or two. All the files are corrupted. So Babilla had to look at the old version of the video and restructure everything back where it was, retranslate everything, remake some things, and then wrap it all up in a bow, which was still a nice amount of work done. Because Spatial had gotten the core structure down, but he didn't, so much of the B-roll, you know what I'm saying? There's certain sections where the Meet the Grams section, that takes a couple of things. And so shout out to Babilla for put in some real work. I stressed that man out.
That is incredible. That's a labor of love across a number of folks. I wish I was less of a control freak so that I could make people essential in my process. That's what you've been able to do. That video, for all intents and purposes, could not have been made but for these other people inside it. And the thing is, I am so afraid and intimate with my own process that I prevent my relationship with even my support editor to get to that point. More time than not, if it's something I'll just do it. Or I'll just do this part. When I need to get to this point, which is delegating stuff to the point where they are essential. I have to need them. And if I don't, then I'm not utilizing them.
Well, but it's a double-edged sword because, I'm in community and have conversations with Folding Ideas and Eye Patch Wolf, right? So they make amazing videos all by themselves, much
they
like
do
you.
all of it?
All of that. Dan does everything by himself. I think he has a co-writer now, finally. But did you watch his last one? I don't know, James Rolfe.
The Rolfe?
Yeah. That's
I ain't gonna lie. I couldn't. It's so unapproachable for me at this point. There's something I feel I need to dive in. I need the accessibility. I need to get on I need to get Folding Ideas. I need to get on him.
Yeah. Well, Folding. One, he's a film student, first and foremost. So it's different for him. Then also if you didn't come up on Angry Video Game Nerd, then you don't have the investment. That was one of my earliest YouTuber people that I watched. I was never a huge fan of his, but he was seminal. What I call them the Augies. Anyway, but getting back to because I do want to talk fatherhood, but when we're talking about collaboration, giving up that power isn't easy because you've been in the chat when I'm I ain't heard from such and such in 3 days. The sponsor's expecting this video in 48 hours. I don't know what, so I do put myself in that position where I have to trust people or I have to be prepared to, nigger rig certain things and certain things don't quite work. Under duress, one of my favorite things I did in that video was the very end in that section with Chuck D. That was all me at the last minute because there was a kind of a messed up cut that it was something I really needed to just reread, you know what I'm saying? I really needed to reshoot it, but I didn't have time for that. So I was okay, how can I make this cut work and do something with it? And I just came up with I'm gonna cut it here. I'm gonna put in this voiceover and it's gonna lead into this quote. like, how do I make this quote impactful? We add a couple little sound effects. And then when the bell idea came, I was like, oh, that's it. And then I knew I was ending with the Nino Brown, the New Jack City quote. And I was like, oh, that's it right there. That's there's 10 more minutes to the video. I cut that shit because I said that's the end of the video now. There's 10 more minutes of me complaining about Kai Cenat and Charlemagne and shit.
That is so, that just shows like how much of the process you don't know until you do know. Like you can't finish a story because like I remember like some of the advice that you gave me like in writing is just like first think about what you want to leave folks with. So like you start with that and then you work your way back. But like one of the reasons why I struggle with that is that I don't know how I'm going to end a video or even what the end of a video is until I'm about halfway into the video. Like until like I'm halfway into making the video, do I know that, okay, the characters that I brought to life or the narrative that I begin to lay down, I know that, okay, that's going to take me here. Like I need the story to take me to a particular endpoint before I even, so like I haven't even finished writing it. I haven't even finished recording all of that.
How do you come up with your ideas?
The ideation process, I've been like, a lot of it is chaotic. So like anything that comes to mind, shower thoughts, observations, reading Twitter, reading Reddit, reading anything, I put down in a Notion document, and I have like a bunch of different documents, which are potential videos that I could just pop out at any second. And normally what ends up happening is I find like different connections with different ideas, and they end up being, you know, Frankenstein together. So a lot of times, like when I talk about like masculinity or something like that, and then I have a conversation about transphobia somewhere, I'm all like, okay, these are overlapping topics. They're talking to one another. I could bring them together. Before you know it, like 4 different ideas that I've had throughout the entirety of time, I've collaborated all together. That's the ideation process. And then like I got like 2 co-writers now, which has helped me a lot because I get to the point like where I struggle starting. I could finish or I could like, you know, get in the body of the work. That's the fun part for me. But the starting is the part where I get like a little anxious. And
are you still going mostly off the dome, or are you reading off a script now?
A lot of it is off the dome. Like I do have like some talking points. I know, but that'd get me in trouble though, because like the ADHDs be taking me everywhere. So like it'd be like,
well, that's what a good editor's for, which is, I guess, which is painful.
Oh man, like and that's all a prison of my own design. So like immediately I want to invest in, of course, doing stuff like that. But this next video that I'm about to have you in is like a total comeback to form because, spoiler, it's going to be on Vibes Cartel. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah, but he bleached his skin?
Bleached his skin. He's basically the closest thing that we have to Marley. He is the closest generational Bob Marley that we have. But for all the different reasons, where Bob Marley is in the backdrop of love and Pan-Africanism and all kind of other stuff. Vibes Cartel is indicative of the depravity, pain, crime, and the destitution and after effects of colonialism. And he took it to a different logical conclusion. Same cultural effects, same zeitgeist, but just he's the dark Bob Marley. He's the evil Bob Marley.
Well, hold on.
We going too far.
Yeah, because we got to bring it back to fatherhood. But it was one thing. So with the creation stuff, though, I'll talk to some people and be like, "Oh man, I can tell you everything about one part of the process," and then there's other things where I'm like, I don't know how I do it. I just happens, and it's like, and it's so wild because like when you say you have a Notion document, I just like shit just be in my head, and
you don't write them down like
what? I just know. I I want to make a video about this one day. And
that's not true, Unc. Sorry, no, because you know what video you about to put out in December.
Yeah, it's in my head. It's not on the document.
Oh, you want some Jay-Z shit. You don't write your lyrics no more. Like,
it's not like I because I've never been good at keeping up with my ADHD is disorganization. And so like if it doesn't activate my hyper focus, then it doesn't get done.
I wish I had that shit. Yeah. I wish I had that like neurodivergence that
version
there.
Of it.
Yeah, because like Jessie got that too. Jessie Gender, big up Jessie. Like she could, but the thing about it is she ended up making a 5-hour long video. Right, but that's the same thing that makes you make a 3-hour long video. I can't do that. I want to get to the good part immediately. No. So I rush.
No, because the good part is it like see, yeah, it's like so perfect example. I had like 3 video ideas percolating before the Drake shit happened. It was gonna be talking about the gay agenda myth, and I'd interviewed Irby, and I was gonna try to
Got
interview
Abby?
Cat Black, or no, Irby Revelis.
No, I thought you was gonna get
I was gonna
philosophy
get
tube on that.
Abby. Like it kept switching from being like a general gay agenda to like specifically for Black people. I was trying to get T.S. Madison. But she can't. I haven't gotten in touch with her. Like I know Ole and Irby know her, but none of her people have circled back to me. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll table that. And then it was like, all right, I want to talk about Barack Obama and like the death of Black media, or I want to talk about Black cops because I've had that in my head since Fuck the Police last year.
Oh, I get it. Because I was just like, why is this nigga making another cop video?
Yeah. Well, so
okay,
I'm
I get it.
I'm gonna tell you 2 things happened. One, I heard this old song, and the intro to the video or transition popped in my head, and now that's the video. Like now I have hyper focus and I can't stop. My wife laughs at it because like certain musical elements in my videos, I replay those in my head all day, and I play the song all day. Until
the music's very essential to you. Like,
yeah,
it's always been for you. Like you be trying to get like the original song
right,
for that
right.
video. I remember like when you was going through that, and I was just like, why?
Yeah, I
do
pay a
you need
dude.
that?
I pay a dude to remake the beat, so it sounds just like it, but not enough like it. I'm actually a little mad at myself because I didn't have time. I might do this just for the sake of like my frustration, because like the Nebula version, I don't have to remake the beats, and so like the last Meet the Gram section in what the culture feeling is the fake beat, and I'm like, oh, it's wrong. So, but I can't change it on YouTube. I'm gonna change that shit on Nebula anyway. And so, because of that hyper focus, everything crystallizes quickly. And like, I wrote 5,000 words yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's how
You write every day.
No, I write the whole thing in 3 days, record it, get it back, and cut out anything that doesn't work and smash that bitch together. And you know what I'm saying? And now ideally I'll be able to do rewrites because I'll have more time. Because this next one's not going to happen until this police video is not going to come out till September. And I'm hoping if this video does well enough, I'll be able to go into having 2 months.
That big frequency.
Yeah. Go into my H Bomber guy, Eye Patch Wolf era. Where, you know, where I can come out with a video every 2-3 months instead of every month, you know, knock on wood. Which brings us full circle, because I don't know if I can do that because I got to feed these kids.
I be thinking of you. I hope that this is okay to say. Like, I remember like when you didn't get out that Drake video when you wanted to. And I remember like in my head, you wasn't saying this, but in my head, I'm just like, that's why like I say, and like we have like a kind of like underscored conversation because like there's a context there. I'm more like, hey, if you need me to do anything, please let me know that. And I know you wouldn't ask, but I really be meaning that because like I know if I'm in that position, I'm gonna start flipping box. Like something gotta shake because like my wife ain't working.
Right.
Like she's a domestic engineer for Peanut, for my child. Oh. And it's amazing how like, yeah, and I have to hold space for that because that is a big task. But like of the fact that we pontificate on this progressive version of patriarchy all the time. And that's the reason why I say a progressive version of patriarchy, because in many different ways, we're still doing it.
It's still
like
patriarchy.
We still slide into these roles, and it's very difficult for me to.
Lowercase p patriarchy. You know, I like that. Well, so I resist that. I say I'm a patriarch, but we don't practice patriarchy in my household, if that makes sense. Because
how does that look?
A patriarch is just a male leader, and leadership and provision are what's the word I'm looking, are like ethically and morally benign. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I was talking to every once in a while, especially when my ego is getting too big, I'll go and I'll roll up on Themis so that him and his his diet divestor community can like hate on me and talk shit. And And they were like, why should we be black man lead? Da, da, da. And I was like, who say black man got to lead? Well, since leadership is not a gendered framework, y'all. I mean, ain't y'all feminists? And so I feel the same way. I feel the same way in our household, in my household. And my household is not like me on some authority shit. It's the role I play. And I like that term, domestic engineer. The role I play now, which is new since YouTube, since a year into YouTube, to be clear, since a year and a half into YouTube, is core, money getter and these tasks over here, and then my wife's core domestic engineer and these tasks over here. My wife still takes out the trash half the time. I still cook on a regular basis. We both share kid duties. It just so happens that the amount of income I can make from YouTube means that she doesn't have to work. And initially that was a difficult transition for her because my wife was on that Olivia Pope Black Girl Magic track, which was low-key killing her. So we were going to change up regardless, even if YouTube never happened. We were like understanding that we needed to make a change. And after like the dust settled and she kind of recognized that she was still herself without the corporate baddie veneer, she dove into appreciating, the domestic engineering and like decorating a new house, you know what I'm saying? And like, how are we feeding our kids differently? So on and so forth. And
how does that feel being able to provide that?
It don't mean nothing to me. It's so weird.
Great. No, that is very weird. Like I'm telling you, like a lot of niggas in that position,
right.
You can smug suspenders. You can't tell me shit. I come home, leg up on the table, I'm eating.
It's so funny. The only time it means something is when I need to alpha on some manosphere type niggas. When I need to put them in their place. That's the only time where I'll pull that shit out the bag for real.
My wife's gonna work.
Other than that, right? We got to hit the classics. You got to hit the classics for them.
Man, look, when I hit people with that shit, like that really messes them up.
It messes them up.
It really, because they're just like, damn, like more like, okay, so like, oh, you one of them beta boys, and more like, by every metric of traditional masculinity, we could go 1 for 1 with that. If you want to talk about the strength, the big bear stuff, I got you with that. If you want to talk about like the whole financial patriarchy thing, I said my wife does not work. Like her job is taking care of the child in the home, like right now, and it messes me up. So then they hit me with your wife must be white, and I'm more like, nope, I got you there too.
You have nothing, sir. Good day, sir. It's so fun. It's one of the reasons why I dabble every once in a while, because well, number one, we've kind of killed their community, but we'll come back to that. But it fucks people up. Like it fucks people up. I was talking to Noah. Noah's got a really good video idea. I can't wait to see what he does. Well, I don't know if he talks.
I'm in that too.
You in that too? Yeah. I can't wait to see what he comes up with.
I bled in that.
Yeah. I think I did too a little bit. Only weird thing about the new space I'm in is I can see like my front lawn, and like every once in a while.
My nigga got a lawn. My nigga got a lawn before. Man.
I had a lawn before. People be like I always have to tell people like YouTube changed my life, but not that much.
Y'all thought we thought you was in the hood. Like,
I was technically, but like it wasn't the hood. It was just a black neighborhood that You
ain't waving to the white guy on the lawn. I thought you just waved to the white guy.
I just waved to a guy dropping off some food, I think, for my wife.
You living the dream, man.
Yeah. I just couldn't see my lawn from the I'm in a room now and not my kitchen, so I have a little more room.
And the rooms sound good too. Like, I mean,
yeah, this isn't the finished joint though. Like, finally, after this Drake money, I'm gonna finish my studio up, and I'm gonna really get brand new on niggas. But I was saying something. I was
we'll eventually talk about fatherhood at some point.
But we're in that provision area because I don't know. I can't call exactly why, but I never aspired to that. I didn't see it in my real life. Right. So that's part of it. I never knew any man except for my uncle Roland, God rest him, to be a traditional patriarch. Every man I knew, and this is the reality for most black men. If you know a man with his wife and kid, with his, partner and kids, which is not so abnormal, you know that everybody in that house is working. Yeah. And you might hear some patriarchal shit from some of them, but you also gonna hear the woman say, nigga, nah. You know what I'm saying? So like that setup just didn't really vibe with me. And I remember growing up on like Family Matters and like Tim the Tool Man Taylor and thinking that looks stressful.
Yeah.
That looks stressful how these men have to operate in this like, hyper patriarchal framework where I would rather play video games. You know what I'm saying?
And there was a concerted effort to make that look good too. So I mean, like with Home Improvement, Family Matters, all of these things, there was this romanticization of patriarchy, which is like one of the most leading causes of death for men. Like I mean, like literally, like sending you to war,
literally
hypertension. You could lead all of that shit right back to an abstract of patriarchy. And the thing about it in particular is the fact that when you have that orchestrated effort to make that look good, that is a psyop on the entirety of anybody watching that. So even I grew up on that and aspired to that. But now I'm at a position where I have enough representation of Blackness around me that I kind of am able to see past quite a bit of that. And that's one of the things that me and Savai were going back on in moving back to the Bahamas and rearing a child in a Black nation. And that's like one of the interesting things that, like, I remember when we were talking and you said that the first thing that came in your mind was when you realized that you had a boy and you knew from that moment that, okay, I got to have a talk. I have to watch this child's humanity be in turmoil and watch them lose the zeal and the blissful ignorance of color and knowing one's color and the hyper focus of one's color and the omnipresence of having to know that I am Black and that has consequences for a medley of different people. And I thought about it and I was talking to her and I was just like, I'm so thankful that I'm in a position where I can rear my child in a place where his Blackness is absolutely supplementary to his experience. Right. It is normalized. People will look at him. People will tease him for something other than his Blackness. They're gonna tease him, say, "Oh, you got a gap in your tooth," or you got bow leg, or something like that.
Right.
They won't tease him on being Black.
Yeah.
And that's when
the police come through, he'll be nervous, but for the normal reasons you should be nervous around police, not. I just watched Beverly Hills Cop, and it was just this cringe joke. I see what they're trying to do. There's a joke in the movie. Eddie Murphy's character, who's like an old Black cop, says, "I'm a police officer." He has his hands up. He's being, he's got guns pointed at him. He's "I'm a police officer. I have my badge, my wallet." And the police says, "Don't reach for it." He's like, "I've been a police officer for 24 years. I've been Black for longer. I know what I'm doing." And I'm like, I see what you're trying to do. Nigga's still a cop. Like, y'all figure this out. Yeah, let's see where this goes. But like that,
kind of evil too.
Yeah. Like that cognitive dissonance, it didn't quite hit like But yeah, like that talk. Like we've had that talk with my son. My son's other talk now is recently, especially since moving to this house, is about privilege and have not, right? Because we moved closer to their school. And so we live now how most of his friends live, better than some of them now, right? However, their school is unique in that it explicitly draws from low income communities. And his grandma stays in these apartments where like it's kind of, well, I don't know how the Bahamas is, but like a marker of the hood is unaccompanied kids outside at all times. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be a normal daytime with kids out playing, or we could be coming through at 8:30 at night and there's still kids out playing. You know what I'm saying? And like that's kind of a marker of like, okay, these are street kids. These are kids that don't have supervision. They don't want to be in their home for whatever reason. And there's no adult supervision to say, y'all come in the house, it's safer in here. That's how predators find their prey. Whatever. It's a longstanding, hood metric of whatever. And so in his head, like they don't ever leave the house without us, which is we're slowly having to start changing. So realize we need to get these niggas out the house and like by themselves more so they can feel comfortable doing it as they get older. And so like all these different things that he's recognizing as he's engaging with other folks and recognizing his own privilege, like all of that still gets subsumed under the police talk. And so it's this wild dynamic that I do envy what it must feel like to raise a son surrounded by Black people in a Black nation. It still has its problems, obviously.
Yes, yes, I was gonna say that.
But like, you know, a different set of challenges, but a set of challenges that, you know, have you thought about moving to the States at all, especially post the kid?
Yeah, so like that was like a very difficult part because of course Sophia's family is in the States, in Iowa of that, you know? And
you owe it to yourself to not move to Iowa.
yeah, I think a lot of the reason, like a lot of the, like, I mean, I think you remember like where I was like around that point. Like I was drowning at like around that era, like that last couple of months of my post-grad. That was arguably, I had gained, I mean, not to say that this is always like supplementary gaining weight, but I had gained about 50 pounds. I had probably what I now reconcile with like a very acute depression that is reserved for the red pill of realizing that there's no going back. You've crossed the Rubicon. Because now that I'm graduating, I'm outside of the scholarly system, which is a microcosm, a very well-controlled and lubricated microcosm of what is a far bigger plateau around you. You know, the microcosm of where you are in school is rather progressive, white folks around you, meaning well, you know, academics that have, to a certain extent, see humanity. When you get outside of that and you have to justify being in a college town without being in that college, right, then you begin to interact and realize and see the veil being taken up in front of you.
And you didn't even play for the Hawkeyes. You didn't even play football.
Exactly. But they still thinking, and then they begin to look at you with that skepticism of why the hell you here. So like, I think a lot of that is due to the fact that I was in Iowa. And when I think about like, okay, would it be good maybe to be somewhere else that has like a little bit more diversity to an extent? But I still think I'm not very eager to go back to the States, and Sophia isn't as well. And I'll tell you why. I have now been able to rekindle an understanding of community. And now I realize just how much of American individualism was beginning to work on me and change me almost at like a molecular level. I realized one thing in the Bahamas, like, you know, you're in the Bahamas, like when you go into anywhere, first thing you do is you say good morning to the room. Like you say good morning to the entirety of the room. And it took a while for me when I began to sublimate back into Bahamian society. And this old grandma that obviously was from one of the out islands cussed me to bits, dragged me by my ears and the fat of my neck, and was telling me, boy, don't you know to tell people good morning when you walk inside a house? Their biggest response is you and me wake up together. Like you and me wake up in the same bed. He said, because that's the only way that you wouldn't say good morning to someone. You know, if you woke up in the same and stuff like that. You know, the ritual of going to like your favorite eatery, people know you by your name. You're no longer like this anonymous, inconsequential cog in a greater machine and a greater experiment that is America. And I want that for my child. I want them to be able to be in spitting distance, like when you're talking about like multi-generational homes. Like, yeah, like my child, I have a picture with my newborn son and my 95-year-old grandmother. That is absolutely and emphatically a privilege. Yeah. And I don't know if me having dual citizenship and me being able to be in the States is worth his spiritual growth of being able to look around him, aspire to whichever he can want to be, because every rank of position of human in the Bahamas is occupied by a Black person. Yeah. And, you know, the prime minister has always been Black, the bankers, the lawyers, the policemen, the people doing evil and the people doing good are all Black. You can get the full spectrum. And he doesn't have to be capped off and have to deal with the minutia and the cognitive dissonance of reconciling with another person and trying to figure out why the differences between them. You know, looking at hair texture, looking at the way that people teach you, looking at how certain animations of voices are different when dealing with white kids versus when dealing with them. Why am I always in trouble? That type of thing. I think that's great. They'll get to the States eventually because they got to hang out with their grandparents. And I think about the effects on that as well. But
yeah,
right now, I got to be in the Bahamas.
The grandparents part, man, I tell you, the biggest regret I have, and it's not something I could have done anything about, is that we had no grandparents here until last year.
Yeah.
We would get visits from her mom. We would get rare visits from my mom, and then my mom got sick. I don't know if I ever talked about my mom having Alzheimer's. So my mom, my youngest barely has any real recollection of my mom, and my oldest has some, but not much. And then my dad wasn't really in a position to be around, you know, that good old story. And so, like, just not having grandparents around, if not just to say, take these Negroes so we can go on a date, so we can sleep in. You know what I'm saying? Like this new world we're in, where we can drop our kids off any given Saturday night, or we can drop our kids off at my in-laws and have the night to ourselves. I don't know. I may not be a YouTuber because I would have so much else to do. We'd have been so much. We'd have so much else going on, but I had to figure out in-house hobbies. You know what I'm saying? So I'm watching more video essays. But let me come back to. I want to talk about not the moment of inception, because that's probably when the baby started. So like not that deep, but like, did you those first moments? Were you there? How graphic do we want to get in this video? Because I'm a watcher. I'm a watcher. Okay, good. I'm a watcher.
You told me to watch him, and I did. And it's funny, my mom, because like, shoot, Safai, when you watch this, you gonna have to deal with it. But like, I was like, I was reconciling with like, I had struggled. I don't know if this was you, and you probably gonna get me in trouble with this, but like, I could not have sex knowing that my baby was in that belly. Like, I could not fucking.
I am the opposite.
Bro, like, I don't understand y'all. Y'all niggas built different, man.
Oh my God, different. Pregnant women are so sexy. And
man,
AJ had to say, all right, we're cutting it off here. Like, so after probably about 5 months in, she was like, all right, bro, it's a wrap. It's a wrap to this baby come.
Damn.
So like, but up until that point, it was like, hey, it was business as usual. Probably a little more business for a while.
That's mad. Nah, y'all niggas, because Bill, I think, was the same way. He was saying some shit about that. Like, but the thing is, for me, it was more mental because, like, I'm just like, God damn, he right there, bro, right there. What you mean?
It's not even the same hole. I mean, it is, but it's not.
Man, look, I know, like, what the mind knows, the heart doesn't. So, like, at a visceral level, no pun intended, like, I'm thinking to myself, and I'm just like, raw, like, there's no way I'm skinning you out. And like, dude right there. Yeah, that's trauma. That's like, I'm just like, blood, I can't do that. Like, so I struggled with that. And then like my mom, like getting to the labor part, like my mom was just like, well, listen, if you having trouble during sex, because like, that's one thing about Caribbean families, like privacy, boundaries, goddamn, where they are.
Y'all not Puritans, like the American Puritan culture.
Yeah. Sophia had to get on that real quick. Like what, like the first, like within the first day, like I think like she saw my mom naked, like just like, because like I was living with her at that point, and like she came out the shower, and, like she's walking up inside the house, and like she's like, oh, and she's just like, girl, please, it's the same. Right. We got the same thing. But like my mom was saying, hey, if you struggling to have sex, nah. If you watch this, like if you watch labor, you gonna really have some hard time. And I was just like,
I will kind of agree. It was so partly it's because, and you know, because you've seen the video, when my first son got here, that labor experience was traumatizing on so many levels, and I didn't know what this one was going to be, so I wasn't going nowhere, period. Right? Like I was gonna be there, period. And everything was going well, so I was excited. I was geeked, but I was still in there. And so then I was like, I don't know if we're gonna do this again. So I gotta be here for everything. I can't be nothing I don't know about this experience. And I will say, the intensity of the birthing did give me pause for a second. It was easy for us to make it's so funny because I got homeboys. It's like you're supposed to wait 6 weeks after for healing or whatever else. And I got homeboys that didn't make it that far. And I'm like, I don't know. That's for multiple reasons.
Sick,
that's not good.
Y'all niggas starving, man.
I'm like starving. It was easy for me. It was easy for me to make that 6 weeks and beyond because it was like, whoa, that thing was not in the shape I recall last time I saw it.
Like she tore, like as in her words, like she tore from her vagina to her ass. What do you mean you about to get in there right now? Like that's bad. I saw the viscera.
What?
I saw the viscera. Like when they pulled out all that, I was just like, oh, this is mad. And then like she just like, okay, here, cut the umbilical cord. I'm just like, wait. Shit is happening very quickly.
Yes.
Like, and this white
is
doctor
she
is just
okay?
like. That's what and look and that's like another part, and like you yet again like big yourself up because like you were talking about her experience in a way that like even she didn't even realize that she was gonna have, because she was just like, nobody talks about the trauma of labor, right? Like what it is to have your child taken away from you immediately so that they could suck, you know, whatever
so
fluids.
you back up and everything. Yeah.
Well, so you back up and, you know, like, oh, one thing that really messed with the trigger warning for the labor story, but like just when they push down on her stomach to get the excess viscera and everything out to prevent clotting, they don't tell you that they're going to do that beforehand. Like there wasn't any communication. There wasn't any communication when they put the baby on her chest, like she feels them. And like she's just like, okay, why aren't you like the cry sounds like light, it sounds like a whimper, and they immediately take you away, and she's over there, she can't see what's going on, and I'm having to be the go-between. Nobody talks about that. And like you were saying
I think if women understood how traumatic childbirth was, so like a good 30% of them would never do it. Like
we're getting that right now.
The same amount of women that like don't get on roller coaster, like, you know, like there's a portion of people that don't get on roller coasters or won't bungee jump. You know what I mean? Like I think if we had more visual understanding of what birthing looks like, there would be people that treat it like bungee jumping. Like, I ain't doing that. And you understand, like we gonna get into we're getting some hotep shit for a second. Evolutionarily speaking, so much we're just at a point where childbirth is safe enough for most women to survive it. And that's wild when you think about it. Like for a long time, if you look through just like the evolutionary history, the only reason why many of us are here is because there was a genetic strain of women, or apes at the time or whatever, that were able to survive childbirth. The reason why our babies, like you always wonder, like, why do our babies suck? Like our babies are trash. You know
no survival skills.
Like no survival skills. Like turtles have their babies and bounce, and them niggas are bear crawling through the beach to survive. And the only reason they dying is because it's eagles and alligators there to eat them. But them things know how to swim. They know how to hunt. They're ready. Our babies
got like 10 XP.
Right. They are trash.
They in the red.
Yes, they're in the red. They need all kinds of debuffs. You got to put them on your skin. You got to feed them your own enzymes and like a bacteria so they can develop an immune system. But that's because like if you let that baby grow anymore, it's going to kill the mother on the way out.
Right.
Like that's an old evolutionary, you know, that's some old hotep shit. But I believe that shit to be true. I guarantee you, if I Googled that, it would be there. Anyway, I say all that to say, when that baby comes out and it's over, and you got that, I saw the picture, and it's a wave of divinity. Like I'm not a super religious person. I've always believed in like divinity though. Like I believe that there is divinity in the world. There are powers higher than myself and all people in the world. I don't know how they work. I don't know if there's a explicit moral compass to them, but I know they exist, and I know when I'm in their presence. Like I know when that force is in my presence, and I felt it on a couple of occasions throughout my life. And anytime you hold a brand new human being for the first time, I was like, yo, because I didn't have that with my first son. You know what I'm saying? And so my second one, when I got him and I got them cut the umbilical cord and I got to see him, it was just like, it was, it was like waves of, all right, nigga, you helped create me. You ready? You ready? I gotta call that principal when you put me down.
I think that also, yeah, like the miscarriage experience.
Near miscarriage.
Sorry. Like the near miscarriage experience, like colored the way that you interact. Because with me, it like I was expecting a more like almost like providential immediacy of love. Because that's what it's always talked about, like love at first sight, like you will first learn love. And when I first saw Peanut, I was just like, you look alien to me. You look foreign to me. Like, no pun intended. Like, I mean, like you got.
Did you have a white baby?
He was a little white. Yeah. He was white.
He's still a little light skin. I had white babies too, and I was like, what is this? Let me look at your ears, my man. My nigga, like, all right, cool. We gonna get there.
They said the ear and the legs. They said that's how you figure out what it. Yeah. And he's still a little light to my take. And he said, you must get that from your grandma. But I was like, all right, no problem. I say that, but like that's fine. I was just like, and also having like all the white doctors come in because like they were just like, get a load of this baby. He has a full head of hair, and I'm trying to figure out to myself, I'm just like, why? Wait, y'all just having bald ass babies out there?
Yeah,
and white folks apparently they be having bald
white
babies.
Babies be bald as hell. It's. I'm about to say it's weird. That's not cool. It's just more typical that their babies are bald as hell. Yeah.
But I had to learn to love, like, and I mean over time, like just like in the ritual process of realizing that this child is absolutely dependent for everything to learn breathing. Like you choking up on your own breath, you spitting up because like you don't understand how to
breathe too fast.
Because you breathing too fast, like you hyperventilate and then you throw up. Like you get mad because you can't go to sleep, to the point where you can't go to sleep. Like I mean, like when you think about that, I'm just like, damn, there's a defenseless, and of course, like there's evolutionary mechanisms that make them cute, so that so we could take care of them, like so like like there's like a domestication of them.
We
like,
want them to burp. We forget the fact that they literally just don't know how to work gas through their bodies. But we
over time, like I began to realize just the mantle of responsibility it is. I also then loved my wife more. Like I found myself like in a honeymoon stage of just her. To see her, and I hate this part because yet again it goes back to like that patriarchal element of seeing her in that nurturing role and me being absolutely useless. I don't know what to do. I never had like been around babies. I'm an only child, never been around babies. And then like seeing her immediately know what to do because she's been groomed to. Like she's been groomed to be a babysitter. Like just like many women are, like they like understand, they understand not
so that's innately. Interesting. AJ was the opposite.
Really?
AJ, for whatever reason, or for various reasons, nothing like deep or problematic, was just not a I'm gonna be around babies type of girl. Was never a babysitter. Took care of her brother, her little brother a lot, but like not as like a surrogate mother, just as like a protector, low key.
Oh.
And so
Sophia was a surrogate mother.
No.
She lost her childhood taking care of children.
Yeah, no, not at all for AJ. And so she had to learn all of that with me. You know what I'm saying? Like she had never held a baby before until she held like our child. You know what I'm saying? Like never for real hold a baby.
Yeah.
And so me on the flip side, a couple cousins had babies. I was an uncle by then. So I had a decent amount of experience overall. So I was probably on par with her, which worked out. And like AJ didn't initially think that she wanted kids. You know what I'm saying? Huh. So but it's funny, yet and still, because she wasn't just groomed, so were you, to see that nurturing as valuable. You know what I mean? Yes. So getting back to the freaky stuff, like first time she breastfed, I was like, oh shit. I never got breastfed. I'm not that deep into it. But like the vision
that's a different. I can't even match your freak there because like that to me that shit was just like absolutely see my child
a pregnant a woman breastfeeding, that's a god. That is
that is a phenotype shit.
God-like. You are giving of yourself to
Life.
create life, literally.
That's what made me love her more, in the sense that, like, I realized that, as you were just saying, you could have lost your life. You laid down your life and risked your life to bring my child into the world.
Right.
And that, at a conscious level, I didn't take that lightly. So I was just like, mad, like, that is the greatest sacrifice that we have normalized.
Yeah.
When we should look at that with like a very serious gravity. A lot of, especially black mortality, maternal mortality is ridiculously overrepresented.
Right.
So when she does that, I'm just like, God damn. I say that is something that I do not take lightly.
Yeah.
But it ain't. When I saw breastfeeding, I mean, I just was looking at this child. I was just like, God damn, like, bro, you acting like you never ate in your life. And then I realized, because he's like, I'm just like, bro, calm down. How did you know how to do that immediately?
Did he pass out when he breastfeed?
Yes, he be passing out with a titty in the mouth. Yeah. Milk draining down.
Baby winos, it's gorgeous. It's lovely. So getting out of the pure baby stuff, how are you managing just kind of your own sense of balance, the fatherhood isms, the balancing, not benevolent patriarchy, because I think that's still problematic, but balancing like, okay, I'm playing this role, because I think one of the things we talked about way back when is I don't know any like true patriarchs that are either every like true patriarch I know is either bitter or cruel. One of those, it's never in between. You know what I'm saying? They're either bitter that they're playing that role and they don't feel like they're getting everything out of it that they deserve, or they're ensuring that they get everything out of it that they feel like they've earned, and it comes off domineering and cruel in terms of like in person. And so like, how are you managing that? How are you balancing that?
Boy, look, I'll be lying to you. Like, I definitely have been both of those patriarchs against my own devices and trying my best not to be that. But it is extremely difficult, and it goes back to what you say. It's a very all-encompassing force. Like, the roles, the more that you give into these institutions, these very well documented and well characterized and well written roles, it is extremely difficult not to replicate that behavior. It's very difficult to get into these roles, and even with a conscious decision, at least for me, not begin to go back on script, on the social script of being a patriarch and what that looks like, especially if you have like a lot of different examples. And I have examples of very cruel patriarchs. My grandfather, rest his soul, was every part, every, like, I'm talking like Ike, like I'm talking like Daddy Dearest type shit. Like I'm talking, and my grandmother, who is still alive, she got the last laugh. She's 95. And she stayed with my grandfather to afford her children a life. And I am, of course, the product of that as well. She did not have the means to, at her age, provide for a child, especially with the resources. And you can't even open a bank account at that age, or as a woman at that time. So she had to, by virtue of doing it, she had to. And she had like at least 6 kids and a coterie of miscarriages. So there was like a bunch of emotional terrorism in that arrangement, and I vowed never to be that. I repudiated that. I've come to verbal blows with my grandfather over that. I, to many different ways, had to grapple with the nuanced love of seeing someone that loved me, seeing someone that in many ways reflected different characteristics that I have. And at the same time, loathing that, like literally retching and recoiling at the idea that I could come from that, or I could ever be that.
Right.
And then you become that, like to extent, like I see glimpses of myself and I catch myself and I'm just like, oh God, that's it right there. Yeah. And it's very difficult to not do that, especially when the pressure is mounting. And also like, I was interested, like when you were talking about you and AJ's dynamic, because with Sophia, like she's worked longer than me. So like she was working when she was 16. She was a hustler. I am not a hustler. I grew up in a black bourgeois, not black bourgeois, I've been too hard on myself, but like some Cosby shit, like some like
petite
family.
bourgeois.
Yeah, exactly. Like family, lawyers, doctors, dad's a diplomat. You know, you was learned, groomed to be a lawyer from the jump. So like,
Your evil dad that started the drug wars with the CIA, according to
exactly, and faked this and gave me a fake accent, and I went to school on blood money. Yeah, that exactly. That is.
We had to get that jab in.
Go yeah, she's struggling. I hope she's
their whole crew struggling. It's taking everything in my body not to make a throwaway video just documenting the fall of that entire community.
No, someone need to go and do like an autopsy on that, because I mean she's leaving the internet.
It just can't be us. It can't be us.
It ain't gonna be me. I mean,
I'm gonna slide somebody a check. Like, hey, make this video. I'm gonna put it on my page.
I'm on a healing journey. Like, I mean, like I am literally trying my best nowadays to see empathy and go with empathy ethic, like you all was saying from jump, because I had to grow into that. Like, I mean, like still growing into that. Yeah. But in being a patriarch now and like grappling with my new status as a dad, I do see myself enjoying some of the, not only the benefits of it, like the way that people interact with you, because you look more established, you know, like you have not only the wife, you not only drive, you got it, but like you're a dad now, and that carries weight, and that carries societal, you know, buffs and whatnot. And I sometimes enjoy the way that I'm interacted with that. And I enjoy the romanticization of coming home after a long day and I'm tired, and my wife has prepared meal for me, and my child is looking at me smiling ear to ear. And that's something that I enjoy. And then for a second I hate it, but then I'm just like, okay, why do I hate this? I'm all like, is this bad? What is the net evil in this? I'm saying, like, there's not necessarily anything wrong with the concept of patriarchy. It's the application, as well as just like maybe some of the, and I'm thinking through this.
And
like,
that's kind of what I'm saying earlier, is like there's patriarchy, then there's the patriarch, right? And but like the situation, the setup that you have at home is whatever it needs to be for that home to function. And if that function is pleasing and useful to that household, and it's not hurting anybody in it or outside of it, I don't care what y'all do. And I think that, and I don't think anybody should judge that. And I think we, specifically with Black men, specifically with Black men and with progressive men. And so when you got Black progressive men, it becomes even more complicated, because it's nothing for a white man to dabble in patriarchy, and it's nothing for them to openly reject it. So, but for Black men to dabble in patriarchy takes moving planets, and to openly reject it takes like discipline and selflessness beyond normalcy. Because it's basically saying, hey, this thing you were never designed and ordained to do in this country, you can do it, but now you're a bad person. Like, fuck you, I don't care.
You a sellout. Yeah.
Fuck out my face. My wife love it. Like,
and that's the thing. Like, yet again, they like, not they, I don't want to generalize women, but like a lot of them do recognize these different things that patriarchs do as a status symbol. It's not about much what it says about me, but also what it says about them as the woman that is the recipient of these patriarchal benefits and dividends.
It affirms their womanhood as much as it affirms desirability, your manhood. That absolutely they can be in their soft life, divine femininity, all of those like kind of toxic things that are happening online with Black women. All it bears down to is, girl, find you a good patriarch. and find you one that's not going to abuse you and be toxic, which is hard. And that's kind of my whole thing, because I've had, some rad films come at me about different ways in which I've conceptualized manhood and marriage, etc., because I don't disagree with the concept of having a traditional household be explicitly a bad thing. I don't care what your household looks like. And I didn't plan for a traditional household, and I don't promote that on some, this is how it should be shit. I just say, this is what I'm doing and how we're doing it and how it works. And here's how we're still subverting that because of how these things don't work, at least in our household. So going back full circle, when we brought, each baby home, when I wasn't working for that split second when I brought my second son home, I wasn't just on some I'm a man without a job and kids shit. I was just thinking, if I don't get a job, we can't pay our bills. You know what I'm saying? Like, and sometimes me and AJ would like conflict on that, because you know, she would look at it, because when her, like, being in corporate America, her income increased at a much higher pace than me teaching and then going into social work or whatever. And so she would stress about, her income and the household income to a level. I was like, babe, if either one of us lose our job, we're fucked regardless. Like, you
Did you ever see the frustration or potentially the knowledge that she is earning that much and incorporating like a lot of the stresses of what would traditionally be assigned to a patriarch? Did you ever see that acted upon you?
not really. The most that we had in terms of that, like, very typical conflict was, what are we doing with our money? You know what I'm saying? She, is very type A, and is did not want that design either, like was not looking for a patriarch. That's why we were able to get together in the first place, right? But she did realize, as we started having kids, that it is harder to be Black Girl Magic, to be Olivia. Olivia Pope didn't have kids. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All these characters in Shonda Rhimes is all these like hyper Black women.
They need
characters.
a white woman. They need a white man first.
They need a white man, and they don't have kids. Is the key thing. And so, like, when she started to have to reconcile wanting to be a certain type of mom, and then a certain type of professional, and have a certain type of lifestyle, that there were conflicts there, because it was like, all right, the only way we can like level all these things up is if either I kill myself trying to make it, which she was slow key doing, or if I changed up my career path. And I was literally in the process of doing that before YouTube popped off. Like, it's so funny. I had started making videos and started doing interviews. I was like halfway done with my PhD program.
I remember you said that.
Yeah, right. I was halfway done with my PhD program, and I literally, like, maybe a couple of weeks before Bo Burnham popped off, had interviewed with Morehouse School of Medicine. For like,
and you were saying you got an offer, and you was just like, this motherfucker look good. Like,
yeah, I was like, it wasn't a real offer, but it was like, I was in there. It was like, you got to wait a little bit. We're going to do this and that. It actually turned out I wasn't in there, but that's a whole other conversation. So it's good that I didn't put my eggs in that basket. But like, so like, that was real. But that's, I think, typical of any household where two people work. It's like, we want to have all the money to do the things we want. Mm-hmm. And we can't always have that. And there were financial hardship moments and decisions that were made to say, we're going to put ourselves under stress so we can get access to this school. You know what I'm saying? Or so we can put our kids into this daycare instead of this daycare. And, for AJ, she, was still big into like not traditional femininity, but like wanting to feel feminine. And it became harder and harder to reconcile feeling feminine and celebrated for that femininity, being Supermom and being Olivia Pope. And then also feeling like she had purpose. And that was a big conversation we were having after the birth of our second, like once we got like the second kid rolling, and in daycare and whatnot, and like out of like baby phase, we would have that conversation like weekly. What's my purpose? And it was so interesting because I was like, I don't have a purpose. I'm just here.
That's like, what you said?
Yeah. I was like, do you have a purpose, or are you just here? Like, why do you have to have a purpose? Like, my inner Marxist, my inner dialectical materialism before, like, you're right. Like, before I have read any of that shit, that's why, like, I'm like, oh, I found my people when I started watching ContraPoints, because we would have that conversation. I'd be like, that just sounds like some capitalist shit. Like, why do you have to have a purpose? Why do you have to have a dream job? Make enough money so you can do the things you want to do. That's what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? But that was the conflict. It wasn't like Gender, it was philosophical. And there's gender involved with that because traditionally a patriarch, and this is where, you know what I'm saying, patriarchy indicates that I'm supposed to have the vision, that I'm supposed to set the tone for who you are, right? I'm supposed to, through the magnanimity of my masculinity, be like, you are this and I am that, and we are us, and this will make us happy. And as we touch those different things, and this is the thing I tell men all the time, as you touch those different things about patriarchy, and this is, I see this, none of that shit guarantees happiness. None of that shit guarantees fulfillment. And like so many, like shout out to Dr. Candace Hargens, who went through a similar experience. And I think a lot of Black women, I've heard this, but I wish I would hear, I wish that, and this is like, I don't know how this is possible. And I'm gonna stop here. I know I've been so on for a second. I wish more of Cornbread Tube and Bread Tube had, femmes had kids, because I think there is a dire need for a leftist deconstructing analysis on Black motherhood that we are just not getting, because that, I think that's why the divestor sphere, and they're small, I want to be clear on that, right? The specific divestor sphere is small, but the grand narrative that leads to them is very big. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, you're right. Actually, now I think about it, like Kim Foster, Khadijah, Tina Wah, all of these folks at this point. Yeah, like that is, and on the opposite side, like a lot of us do have kids eventually,
right?
But we do have like the range to be both.
Yeah,
and I wonder if they're granted the same flexibility.
Well, I think there's a, I mean, so
like
no,
Julesy.
Yeah. So, right, Julesy had her son and hasn't posted as much, right? She still posts a lot on TikTok. I think she's the only one. There's a lot about Black motherhood that I wish we could get into the atmosphere. Well, not just about Black motherhood, about, like, we do hear T and Kim and Khadijah break down the folly of Black girl magic specifically, but a big part of that folly is the motherhood piece, is the I'm gonna be a girl boss and super mom and Meg the Stallion all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And how that's very much a capitalistic thing. And I think specifically when you say like, it's what Candace said this in the last video. Just like with Black men, you're told you can't do that. And you see white women doing that, even though they be having like all kinds of help, you know, or
a lake house.
Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? Or their kids are like awful, like, you know what I'm saying? And so like, I think a lot of Black women who do bite into that Black excellence cookie would love to have like more conversation about unlearning that mythology, because they're expected to have that still and we're not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Like me and you are unicorns, and then like AJ and Dr. Hargens are standard in a weird way.
Yeah. The only person I could think of like unapologetic justice, because I know that she's unpoetic justice. Yeah. She's a mom. And if she ever gets into that side, but like, you're right. And I think that there's a dichotomy that we don't allow for, especially it's either all or none. Like if you're going to lean into this aesthetic of progressiveness, then you have to go all or bust. And if you're not, then the immediate retort is, oh, you ain't got no kids. And I used to get that a lot too. Like a lot of folks would interact with me and they would come with, oh, once you have kids, like the type of wax lyrical that I have and philosophy that I have over particular subjects, they said, you know, a lot of that's going to go by the wayside when you become a dad. Like you would stop talking about trans folk in the way that you do when you realize the dangers of
trans people as a kid.
Yeah. So you
know how those trans children murder their parents. Like that's the danger.
They say, oh yeah, you talking about all this creative stuff, but you know that's because like you don't have a child. I'm just like, I think like it's just like limited amount of pixels and resolution that we have for the variegated nature of what we can be.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm struggling with nowadays. I mean, that's one thing that I appreciated being here, to the extent of I am able to see more representations of Black fatherhood. I could see the worst. I could see the awful stuff. So like that whole myth about like Black absent fatherhoods, no fathers in the home type of thing. You have that, yeah. I will not refute that there are sometimes that Black fathers are not in the hood, but I also have a million different examples of extremely devoted fathers that are very hands on, like not just like patriarch, but also doing like quotedly matriarchal things,
Right.
and they're doing the whole thing and they're happy about it and they're fulfilled. And I could point to both of them, and that's just what happens when you have a monomyth of Blackness. And that's what, you know, a lot of like American imperialism wants to do to you.
Yeah. It's a wild, because like I know multiple fathers now. I don't know anybody that is on that true, I don't do no kid domestic work shit. You know what I'm saying? Cause cause I didn't see that. Like, it's just so wild to me when that's a thing. But when you see the image of the patriarch, and how it's celebrated, of course you kind of like see the pull to that desire. The last thing I want to talk about was health and mental health for fatherhood. That was the last thing.
Ooh.
You saw the drama video, right? And it's so interesting. If there was ever a moment when you talk about patriarchy being the number one killer, right? So my wife stopped. So YouTube popped off the summer of 2021, and I quit my job that fall.
I remember that.
And and my wife is AJ's still working, and she's still making, like, AJ was making very good money. She hated it. She was working in corporate America. It was slowly killing her, but it was, that was our lifestyle. And, the numbers are going up. YouTube numbers going up. YouTube numbers going up. So I did say to myself privately, this wasn't a conversation with AJ. I was like, I probably need to retire her for a second, because she is not going to the disease of, corporate America. Like, I got to be part of the provider team. I got to have it all. Is too deep in her for her to do it on her own. So I have to put us in a position where she can't deny it. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, right. So that was 2 videos a month, FD, if you remember. You know what I'm saying? That era. Hour long videos, 2 a month. And no editor at the time. And so by the time we get to the drama video,
left this and fighting almost killed me.
Right. I'm 30 pounds heavier. I do have an editor now, but the editor also stressed me out. I'm 30 pounds heavier. I'm glue. I don't even have a good, I got the good gaming seat now and shit. I had a normal ass office seat. My back and my butt all fucked up now from that era. And I didn't realize how locked in I was until God almost stopped me and said, "Hey, do you want to die, Mr. Patriarch FD,
famous wealthy
YouTuber, sir? Do you want to die after getting this money? You know what I'm saying? After being able to pay for therapy and jujitsu for your kids, and now you're gonna pay for it with insurance money they got off you." You know what I'm saying? And so it hit me that I was like, okay, I need to chill, because it's not so much, it wasn't like a psychology of I gotta provide, I got a John Henry, It was just so locked in, because I was I was seeing success. I love making videos, and I loved seeing my wife heal. That has been probably the most beneficial experience over the last 2 years, is watching AJ heal from being a Black woman in corporate America. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't think to myself, you really need to notice how much puffier your face is in these videos than it was 2 years ago.
I just remember the buck breaking video to I'm trying to figure out like when I recognized it for you. But buck breaking FD was
a nice amount smaller. And I still ain't lost all that weight. I'm in better
Malcolm
shape.
Jamal Warner, like
right. And now it's like, and I like when I go back and I look at, I think Left This Infighting almost killed me. I was at my biggest, and not on some I want to be clear. This is not on some anti, fatness.
But, yeah.
It's I already have high blood pressure. We're in COVID. I'm sedentary as hell.
My family too. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, okay, no, I need to lose weight and get active and like chill, or I'm going to die. And like the only fear I have as a father, I don't fear transphobia and transness, or I'm confident I know my oldest has ADHD. My youngest is at least neurospicy. I don't know what's going on. We're not gonna worry about it because he's doing well and we love him. And we have our moments and conflicts, etc. But the idea of not being here in some form of fashion,
the Black Boyhood video.
It keeps me when it just, even as I'm saying it now, it's hard not to have a strong emotional reaction because that's such a visceral fear of mine. And so it's one thing,
and it's historically precedented.
Yes,
like it's supposed to happen.
It's not out of nowhere.
Yeah,
it's not out of nowhere. Niggas die every day, and so like if I get shot, like fuck. But if I die from a heart attack because I wasn't from YouTube, from working,
because a nigga that watch horse porn,
right? Because I'm stressing out because this motherfucker that watch horse porn and this other dude with blue hair are talking ridiculous about me, and I'm stressing myself out writing this. Oh, I'm gonna get your ass script. Poof. And so like that John Henryism is a thing, even for the quote unquote progressives. And I know you got that in you.
Oh, you know it. You like, and I appreciate the fact that like you be checking in on me because like I be needing that, and like there's a part of me too that that died a little bit with just the drama of YouTube space and this space in general. Like a part of you dies like when you get that massive campaign and you get the stimulus of hundreds of people sending you things that are not very nice, like some racist things, like death threats, all that other stuff. Like, a part of you does die. A part of you wants to retreat into that. And then now at this point where I'm on the other side of all of that and in a way better place, of course, and then you have a child with it, the mental part about now, like I do have like a why, like I do have like a motivation I remember like I was trying to figure out, I was just like, how unky and tired. Like I was just like, cause I'm tired. I'm more like, this nigga at least like almost 12 years older than me. I was just like, ain't no way. I'm just like, this nigga working. And I can't remember like when you was live streaming, dropping 2 videos a month, cutting up the live streams. I'm just like, no way. Like I'm more like, I need to work harder type of thing. It's that competitive nature. like that I have.
So you ain't have to go through that. That's what that was.
But I remember that, and now I'm kind of in that space because I'm more like, oh, okay, insurance is almost $800 a month now that you got a child and your wife on your insurance. Oh, and you got rent. Oh, and you got a car. Okay, all of these things, and like I'm just like, at the same time, you're not gonna ask for help. So I hope that I could like talk about this when you, and I know like a lot of it was you. You ain't even gonna tell me when you like took the impetus to do that baby shower gift, because like I wasn't even gonna say nothing. Like I mean, like people was just like, man, you got a big audience. Like why you don't like put your like registry online? I'm just like, nah, because of the patriarchal. I don't need no help. I'm gonna get it out the mud type of thing. And not only that, but like there was like a lot of support. But I kid you not, that baby shower gift that you gave, that y'all gave, that like was aggregated from the people, was more than needed. Because literally when we had the kid in the States, we're paying on like rent over there, rent back home. rent, I mean, like whatever utilities and everything like that on top of all of that, you know, whatever is coming with the hospital stuff. So I was, it even if it didn't pay for things immediately, it was the security of knowing that, okay, I can now put out this video and not have to like edit in one hand and rock my baby in the next. And I'm now at a place where there's a little bit more cushion with that. And the only, it won that one act, and also began to like really get my gears going towards like my understanding of community. And like that in chain retrospect, like how it happened with this as well. Like I'm now looking at my own, because I'm just like, I ain't got no siblings. My child ain't have no uncle. My child ain't have no aunt. I need to really begin.
Sapphire's the only child too, right?
She has a very like an aggressively autistic little brother. Who, yet again, like she gave her childhood to take care of. So I mean, like, yeah, she has an uncle, but like he's nonverbal, right, and seizures and whatnot. And yeah, so like she's effectively an only child. And I'm just like, you know, who do you have around you? Like to an extent, you begin to try to look around, and like it shouldn't be a thing of like you forging community now because you just want to have, but also for the fact that like investing in a world where when I'm not around my child, someone still looks at him like a human being and has like a level of altruism and a duty of care. Right. If my child runs into the road when I ain't there, will someone, you know,
be like, that's such and such, baby?
Exactly. And when I'm in the States, baby. I don't like when I'm in the States, I don't feel like that'll happen. I feel like that's just another nigga. Like, you know, like they go watch him run to the Iowa.
Road. Yeah.
Oh man, they gonna think that's a speed bump. You know what I mean? Like, so like I'm now at that point where I'm investing in community, and that's helped my mental health a lot more, but also the working out. Because I lost fighting quite a bit, like moving from the States, because there's, you know, we ain't got that as much over here. So working out has helped me a great deal. And weirdly enough, playing video games. Like I remember like you told me, like you was just like, you have to make some time to do nothing. You know, maybe play some video games. I was just like, what this nigga talking about? Play some video games. I gone out and I bought a PS5. Like, but that was also me struggling with like the loss of childhood in my head, because like that like month before, that January, February before, because Sophia had gone off to the States and I stayed back in the Bahamas. And those couple months to myself was me reckoning with the loss of childhood. And I knew at that point, like I was just like, okay, how am I going to be a child if I have a child? And I was just like, let me do all the child shit right now. I haven't had a console. A PS, nothing since PS2. So I go out there and I bought PS2 and I bought God of War. And then I'm playing this God with his child, and I'm just like, God damn it. God damn. So even when I'm trying to play a game and escape this, I got a child. So I was just like, you know, it was like an analogy for the fact that like these things could coexist too. Like I can still, the child isn't gonna die in me. In fact, like he needs to stay alive, and he can. Like I'm playing a dad with his son right now in this game. It's an amalgam of that as well, and I believe that that's allowed me to do it like a little bit, like it rein back a little bit. But mental health wise and you know, just stress wise, like it's definitely there. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like I mean, like on a regular basis, it's definitely there. Like I get like anxiety of the thought of anything that I have on top of me, and just drowning in the new responsibilities that are on top of the fact that like you're already a husband, now you're a dad on top of that. And this definitely ain't easy. But I always think of the fact that at some point, like literally the majority of the world are in arrangements similar to me. I was like, it's not going to be me that is going to look at this like an unattainable thing. It's been attainable. People have been doing it to different degrees of success for so long. It ain't going to be me that's going to die from patriarchy, right?
My wife can get a job. Like I be telling, like we had that conversation. Like when we moved to this house, house was like, oh man, expensive. I was like, you can get a job? And she's like, yeah.
The thing about it, like Sophia, like that's the next thing I was saying, because the antagonism between me and Sophia is so far that she's always worked, and like now a lot of her understanding of worth is tied to her ability to earn. and now being in a position where she doesn't earn, but in my head, like, you're working, and I have to keep on telling her, I said, no, you're a domestic engineer. That is a title, and that is a
You're
very
doing a lot of work.
You doing a lot, but she doesn't see it as that because she's not bringing an income, and that is actually the majority of the odds of our relationship. Is just like me.
It's a huge blessing those early years to not have to work. Like, you know, AJ worked the whole time and just stopped working in 2022.
Yeah. That's right. Around the time.
But like, you know, those formative years, like she was like, thankfully she was a corporate, you know, she was a corporate baddie. So she had it set up where she would bring her baby, she would bring my oldest to her job on a regular basis. And it was an all Black woman firm. So like they were all kind of cool with it. It was a glorious situation. The money wasn't the same as she got later in life, but like being able to set her schedule like that, to pump and nobody say anything crazy, and to breastfeed in between meetings was like a, you know, blessing in disguise. Because those early years, it's so much stress and trauma for everybody involved, but especially mothers, and especially mothers who take it to heart. So yeah, that's a fight to have for the, if not just for indulging in the benefit of that being the only work that is done. You know what I'm saying? A lot of women don't do it. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have that option. And I think, you know, AJ is worse to wear for it, but I also understand like the desire to feel comfortable, because like motherhood is so traumatic, man. Like I guess that's gonna be I have to follow that up to actually have some conversations with, because I don't know if anybody else is. I just know I want to do it.